Men, and as usual, I use the term ever so loosely. Hey, I talked to the customer on these crankcases, and he has okayed my plans to fix these things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to weld up this low spot over here from somebody hammering on it. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to weld up this crack that runs all down in through here, back up and around. We're going to weld that up, and you know, we're going to clean this up. We're going to grind the crack out. There's no real particular reason to show you that. One thing that is going to be a problem for me is after I weld this over, the hole where this pin goes is going to be lost. So the question then is, how am I going to find that again? It's not particularly critical. You know, I could probably be off 20 or 30 thousandths either direction, and it won't matter. You know, it just holds the screen in. But anyway, what I've decided to do is this. I've got these two screw holes over here and over here, and if you make a triangle, you know, the distance from this hole to the pin is 4 3/8. The distance from this hole to the pin is 4 1/8 from the center of the hole to the center of the hole. So I'll just, when I weld it all back up, I'll just get a ruler, measure it out, center punch it, and re-drill the hole. Should be a piece of cake. I also drilled down a little bit trying to work this loose. It doesn't come loose. So I'm going to punch a hole in the screen, grab it with a pair of right angle needle pliers, shove the pin out this way, and get the screen out so I could see what kind of crud is back in behind there. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I just popped the oil strainer screen out, and like I said, you pretty much have to always destroy them to get the screen out. You know, you can't get to the pin. But anyway, pick the screen out of there, grab the pin that goes through there with the needle nose, and shove it out the hole. And when I got it out of here, here's what I found. The whole back side of this thing is full of sand dust. The whole back side of this thing is full of sandblast grit and crud. You know, there would have been no way to get that out of there without pulling the screen out. You know, it would have dissolved and circulated in the engine's oil system. You know, these screens are a little expensive. They're kind of a pain in the ass to deal with, but you know what? Buy a new one. If you got to destroy it, get it out of there. That should have ruined your engine. Okay, here's the view down inside that cavity. You can see all this shit here was caught under the rim of that screen. Down inside there, it's really not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But you know, like I said, screens are a little bit expensive, 13, 14 bucks. It ain't worth taking a chance on it. Take the screen out of there. You got to clean that out. All right, on to grinding and getting ready to weld. Okay, I just started opening the crack up from this side, and I assure you the crack penetrated all the way through. But anyway, I just started opening up over here. Watch this. A little soapy water. I always keep some in a squirt bottle handy. Watch this. Okay, if you needed proof that the scabby weld on the other side was no good, there you go. You put air on the back side, and you got live bubbles. There's another spot. So that weld was no damn good. So this is why we're grinding it out, welding it from the back side. Okay, so here's what I decided to do. We had a fine, tight crack over here. And, you know, one of the options was I should get a hold of Thatcher Machine and let them do that. That's not an option for me. If I can't do it, I mean, it's got to be the end of the world before I send something anywhere else. And every once in a while I do have to do that, but this ain't that case. The other suggestion was to mill all of this out of here, machine a new insert, machine a new steel insert for the aluminum insert, shove it all in there, weld it all up. That is a very radical repair. It's one fine tight little crack over here. That just seemed pretty excessive to me. Not that there aren't times when you might have to do that. My other consideration in not wanting to do that is this, is the crack extended all the way down into here. Well, if I was going to mill all of the crack off, I'd be taking out all of this metal all the way around. It would be a big, big hole, and the metal gets pretty thin over here. So when I made the new piece to insert into there, it would not have a lot of purchase on the surrounding crankcase. So I think that would do more harm than good in this particular case. Get it? Oh, that was funny. Okay, so what I decided to do instead is this, and I've done this on one other engine that had a crack here. What I decided to do instead is this. I measured the outside diameter of this boss. It was 2.730 inches across. I had a piece of 4140 DOM steel tube I bought a while back. And actually I did this same repair on another engine a while back. And that's what the steel is for. But anyway, what I've done is I've machined another piece of that 4140 steel. It is 2.724 inches in diameter. That will give me a 6/1000 interference fit when I slip this over here. The plan is to heat this thing up as hot as I could get it, and you could put it in an oven, you could hit it with a acetylene torch. I think I'm just going to get a propane torch out, see how hot I could get it, and hopefully when I go to put this on, it'll just slip right over there and drop right down. So let me go get the torch. We'll heat this thing up and see if I can't just drop it over there like I'm hoping to. I will have a bearing driver and a hammer ready to drive it home if need be. It's going to have about a 6/1000 interference fit. That should be good and snug on there. I don't think that thing is ever going to come off. Alright, let's get cooking. Alright, the metal's picking up a little blue, so it should be over 500 degrees. Let's see how we make out. Nice. It doesn't get any better than that. Beautiful. Alright, we're going to let that cool off, and we'll move on to the next phase of saving this crankcase. Alright then, so where are we at? Well, let's see, I was putting heater coils in, and I was getting ready to go out and make the retainer for the bearing race over here. And this is what I've come up with. Pretty simple. Big steel washer, retainer kind of a thing. Held in with 3 little screws, which when these little bastards are loctated in place, ain't gonna go nowhere. I don't know, good idea, bad idea, shitty idea, I don't know, time will tell. I've never done this particular repair before, this is kind of new. I originally was thinking that maybe I would just put in some screws with some big washers on them to catch the edge of the spacer that goes under there. And then I thought, you know, this is just a little bit more elegant. Clearance with the engine should be no problem because the area is machined. This is no thicker than the area that was machined off. So that shouldn't be an issue. I was thinking about putting more screws in, like maybe 4 or 5 instead of just 3, or hell, maybe even 6. But we're in an area that is prone to cracking anyway, by evidence of the fact that we do have this one small crack over here that's repaired with the steel ring. So I didn't want to drill any more holes in this than was absolutely necessary. This part, seemingly simple, was a lot trickier to make than I anticipated it would be. I had to do this in a couple of steps. In order to get all the screw holes to come out equidistant from the center, I made a jig and drilled one hole in the jig first, and then basically rotated the repair part every 120 degrees to pick up the other holes. I then was able to use the part itself and another little jig, because it needed to be all centered up, another little jig, to keep this all dead nuts in alignment as I was drilling holes in there. I'm not charging the customer for making the tooling, but I'm just going to charge them a couple hours of labor on this, so it's really fairly economical. Is it the best repair that could have been done? Probably not. But when you compare the economics, the effectiveness, and just kind of compare the ergonomics of the situation, I think this worked out pretty good. Realistically, this Timken bearing is a real tight press fit in here. It's probably not going to go anywhere anyway. It can't go in because the snap ring on the inside is still there. It can only go out. It can only go out so far until the crankcase until the flywheel starts to hit the crankcase. I don't think there's going to be a lot of stress on these screws, or on that snap ring for that matter, or the snap ring that used to be there. There wasn't a lot of stress on it until somebody hammered it through from the other side. Good Lord. Anyway, this little project started out with the guy calling me up and saying, hey, he goes, can you line hone some crankcase bearings for me? I said, sure, no problem. He goes, I got a set of cases are all ready to go. Apparently, all ready to go means something way different to that guy than it does to me. I think I put 8 heated coils in it, a couple of weld jobs, repair for the crack, repair for the busted out snap ring groove. These little bastards were far from ready to go. They're ready to go now. So in just a minute or two here, I'm going to put the bearing rates in. I'm going to drop the flywheels in there, do some preliminary check out, and we'll get these things line honed for the customer. For right now, I'm out of here. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, we're on to the next preliminary test fit, the right-hand case. The owner provided a new race and new bearings and a new bearing cage. The bearing cage is, of course, one of those V-twin repop pieces of shit. There were thick, heavy burrs along every slot that a bearing goes in. Dressed that all out with the Dremel tool, polished it up real nice with some emery paper crocus cloth on my lathe. It's entirely possible that the case or that the race won't fit over the bearings. Let's see if it fits even. Okay, it does not even go over the rollers. So, line lapping is in order. Let's get set up and get ready to do that next. We're going to do a little line lapping here. Cases are kind of lightly clamped in a vise there, so they can't get away from me. This is ridiculously filthy. I'm not going to fuck with the camera. I'll just run the camera until it times out. And not a hell of a lot to it, really. I start out with medium fine and then go to fine when I get close to where I want to be. You got to be careful you don't get this in the bearings, of course. And what I have found that works is you got to go, or I could go about 1/8 of a turn, advance the wheel about 1/8 of a turn, or advance the lap about 1/8 of a turn. And that'll put a nice drag on it, and you could feel it accomplishing some work as you go. As snug as those bearings were, I think I'm going to plan on going one full turn on the lap and then checking. If I go a little too far, I've got oversized rollers I could put in there. I really don't think I'm going to go too far though. Once the lap gets easy, you're not really accomplishing anything, so you got to snug it up and keep going. I think that's my 5th 1/8 of an inch crank on it. See, I went too far. Got to back off a little bit. Okay, let's see if it fits. Almost perfect. So let's go one more round with some fine lapping compound. Alright, I think we're going to be good right there. Okay, perfect. The fit is perfect. Just FYI, I have an old set of Timken bearings that I keep on hand just for lapping. That way I don't have to worry about getting lapping compound in the new bearings. Alright, so let's wrap this project up. Hope you're all ready for the money shot. Well, let's see. Here's the finished part, the finished retainer. I had to relieve this area in here. I did some test fitting because it was rubbing on this area of the sprocket. So I relieved that a little bit out of there. I did in fact test fit it once already, so I know that it fits now. But just to show you the final configuration of things, let's put it together and you can see. Oh, just so you notice, this is our crack reinforcing ring. It's blue because I heated it up to shrink it on there and it turned blue, so it got up to probably about 500 degrees or more. It dropped right over there without having a hammer. I gave it a little tap, but I mean it fit freely on there. And this is 6/1000ths of an inch smaller diameter than the Crankcase Boss. So now that it's cooled off and shrunk on there, it ain't going nowhere, not easily anyway. So this is ready to go. We're going to call this done. And unless the guy who I'm shipping this to decides he wants to take it apart and inspect it, this need not ever come apart again until somebody needs to rebuild it the next time. Put a drop of Loctite on the screws. Get them all started. Get in there. There we go. Okay, and for those skeptics among you, we'll bolt a sprocket on there just to prove that a sprocket will fit over the repair parts. I have a pin I machine that is just the same diameter as a piston pin, and I use that to lock the flywheels when I'm doing something like this. Okay, so there you have it. The sprocket is bottomed on the shoulder on the sprocket shaft. Get our locking devices out of the way. And the crank rotates freely and smoothly with no binding or rubbing on the repair parts. So, I think this is a quality repair. I think this is going to last the guy a long time. I think he's going to be happy with it. We're calling this one done. And I am out of here. Hey, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. See you next time. Bye.